Michael Mike! Yes, sir.
We are back here on the greatest show of all time, man. Heavyweights, love it. Got my guy right here.
What am I wearing in that
man.
picture?
Hey, don't
Is that a
worry
nightgown?
about Venmo racks. I got you right here on this one. Here's Poppin' Spencer Cherry. I am happy to be back live with the goats of this game, man. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, we
You're the
missed
goat
you,
of this
Mike.
game,
You're the
man.
goat of this game. We missed you. How you doing, man?
Oh, now I'm living the dream. Hell, we on heavyweights. We got a game on Sunday. Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears at home in Detroit. Got to win that game, fellas.
Got to win that game, and we're gonna jump right into it. Obviously, you know we come to you when we want when we want to break down the games. But so the first thing that came to mind when I look at this game, when you look at it on paper, is I want to get your opinion on it. Who do you think would win in a fight, a bear or a lion?
That's not even close, man. Definitely going to be a lion going to win that fight. Bears, they got to worry about other things. Lions, they like to fight. You know, they have the women go ahead and get the food for them, but they like to fight for that 4 hours that are awake. I'm definitely going with the Lion King. They own everything, definitely. Let's go, man.
Facts.
That is facts. I have a real question, though, because it's been a minute since we talked. Where are you at the Lions season? Obviously, they've gone on a win streak since then. Playoffs, possibly. They're still on the line, technically. Do you believe, Mike? Do you believe?
I believe we have a chance to definitely make the playoffs here. I think the Lions have the opportunity to get the win on Sunday. They can win in Green Bay. It's will Seattle lose? Will the Commanders lose? Something that's not in our hands anymore. We had that opportunity versus Carolina. We took the L. Now it's not fully in our hands. I think the Lions are going to go, obviously, this Sunday, face the Chicago Bears. I think they're going to win this game. But what are the Commanders going to do? What are Seattle going to do? Hopefully they take the L and the Lions can get that victory the next 2 weeks and make it as the 7th seed, make the playoffs, and who knows what can happen.
Do you have confidence in the Lions to fulfill their part of the obligation and winning out the season?
I do have a little bit of confidence there. I definitely have confidence that the Lions are going to win on Sunday. I think they're going to come out, and after that embarrassing loss to the Carolina Panthers, they're going to show their force at Ford Field. I think they're going to whoop on the Bears. But it's the following week. What's going to happen with the Green Bay Packers? Is it going to be the Green Bay Packers that we've seen early on this season? Is Christian Watson going to be back? Is that the weapons going to be there? How is the temperature going to be? You know, Karen Rodgers, what is he going to do for the Green Bay Packers as their quarterback? That's the question mark, as it always is. The last time we had an opportunity really to solidify something in the playoffs a couple years ago when we were going against Matt Flynn and Matthew Stafford, and that didn't turn out so well. Hopefully we can get a redemption when we do go to Green Bay and beat them in Green Bay and make the playoffs. Wouldn't that just be great? Yeah. Redemption for what has been taking place. And everybody, they're falling in love with Karen Rodgers after they win in the Miami Dolphins. I would love for the Lions to get that win and kind of take that knife and just jab it right in his heart.
So this Bears team doesn't do a lot great. Obviously, you look at their record, you look at the stats, you can see that. But one thing they do great is run the ball. But they run the ball well. And you look at, obviously they've got Justin Fields, who accounts for a big chunk of their running yards per game. But I really like Khalil Herbert as well. I think he's a great back. He just got activated off of the IR, played last week. And David Montgomery is also very solid. And we saw the performance that the Lions defense posted against Carolina, which was not great, to put it easily. How scared are you that the Lions' run defense is going to get exposed like it did in Carolina?
I don't think it's going to get exposed like we've seen in Carolina. Carolina was terrible. That was something to behold. 320 yards rushing against our defense. That's, to me, it seemed like an anomaly. Do we got to worry about the rush game? Absolutely. Justin Fields over 1,000 yards rushing. Herbert, like you're saying, having a good year for the Bears. But let's be honest here, folks. Their passing game is booty cheeks, 136 passing yards per game. That's 32nd in the NFL. The Lions defense, I think they're going to go ahead and force them to throw the ball. They're going to take that extra safety, put it in the box. They're not going to let them just simply run all over like we see with Carolina. They're going to get their rushing yards, no doubt about it. But that's not how they have to beat the Lions. They're going to eventually have to throw the football, and they're just a team that can't do it. They don't have the weapons like the Lions do, and I think the Lions are going to put a lot of points on them, and it's going to be putting pressure on Justin Fields, and all it takes is for him to throw an interception. We've seen it last time with Jeffrey Okudah with the pick six, and that type of pressure, I just don't believe that the Bears offense can sustain and keep up with the Lions offense.
Yeah, and speaking of what we saw last time, I mentioned Justin Fields already, but he went for upwards of 140 rushing yards against the Lions in that first matchup. What can the Lions do to try to contain him, limit? Obviously, a lot of teams have been trying to do that all year, and a lot of teams have been failing to do it just because he's such an explosive athlete. But
Bills did it.
What are some things that the Lions can try to do to try to keep him in the pocket or keep him from getting 60-yard rushing touchdowns?
Contain. The edges here. Now we got Romeo Okwara, who's back. Let's not over-pursue. Same with Aiden Hutchinson. But let's put a spy on Justin Fields, whether it be Alex Anzalone or Malcolm Rodriguez. Somebody, his job is just simply to watch what he's doing, because they win only by him. It's the Chicago Fields. He is their whole offense. And if they bring the safety up there, they have a spy, they force them to throw, there's going to get turnovers. That's how the Lions win this game. But contain, don't over-pursue. That's something that happened the last time we faced them. Aiden Hutchinson over-pursuing, then he gets out of the pocket and he runs for those big yards. So just contain, bring the safety up there, have a spy, and sit back and win this game defensively.
Yeah.
Now, you're bringing up a good point, because that was obviously a criticism of AG, this past week, was that, despite how bad the Detroit Lions were getting gashed in the run game, he kind of refused to add an extra man to the box. It's and forced to stop it. But Detroit Lions are kind of like thin at the safety position. Do you still expect that to be the game plan? Because I don't know that Kirby plays this week. Actually, is there any updates on that?
Deshaun Elliott's out.
I know Deshaun Elliott's out.
Kirby, I think he's...
Kirby had that back situation early in the week. Do you know if he's playing or not, Mike?
He's in. Who's going to be in there with him. That's going to be the other starting safety, unless obviously they pull something different game time. But I think, they can actually do that. Now, if he's a big guy, so bringing him up there, hey, I think that's actually a quality idea for AG to do. Will they stick to that? Just like you say, he hasn't done it all year, in all honesty. But if they are realistically looking at this Bears offense, what do they do besides run the football? Nothing. So I think at this point you have to. And if you're AG, I trust my corners over the wide receivers that they're going to be putting out there. I trust them to make a play. And if they play man, do you think Jeffrey Okudah is going to be getting exposed like we've seen throughout the year, at least this past game? No, I don't. This is not the same type of wide receivers that they're going against. These guys are players that, honestly, probably won't even be wide receiver 4 or 5 on our depth chart. So I trust the secondary more than their wide receivers. So bring that extra safety in the box. I trust our corners.
And to be honest with you, too, real quick before we go to break, would you mind hanging out with us through break and jump back on?
Absolutely. I mean, if
let's go.
Spencer Raxter here and Speak Easy, absolutely, man. Let's
do it. All right, one thing before we go to break, I do want to remind people, too, in the first matchup against the Bears, we did kind of like, their actual run game with the running backs.
Yeah.
Didn't do too much. It was mainly Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And in that game, no James Houston, who's come on as of late, and no Romeo Okwara, too. So, I to ease some Lions fans, because Justin Fields did kind of abuse us, and we did only win by at one point. But I am feeling a bit more confident in it the second time around. But obviously, AG was kind of stubborn last week and not wanting to bring any extra bodies into the box to stop that run. The season did start 1-6, and within those 7 games, the defense didn't look too hot. A lot of people are trying to reignite the flame underneath his seat and make it hot again. Do you think either in this offseason and or next season, AG should be concerned or worried about his job at all?
I think that every coach should be worried about their job at every NFL team. You try to do the best that you can do. That's why you're there. There's only 32 jobs, whether it be for defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators. For Aaron Glenn, is it him? Is it the scheme, or is it lack of talent? Well, I must say, for the last 8 games, besides one that took place in the Carolina Panthers, the defense has stepped up. I mean, Alex Anzalone was doing a lot better, and I think a lot of people expected. We're seeing a lot of players stepping up, such as Aline McNeil. We're seeing Jerry Jacobs last year and this year step up. So I think he should be worried, but at the same time, this is the NFL. Everyone should be worried. Will he get terminated at the end of the year? I don't know. I have my doubts on that. I think they'll give him another try with more talent. We have an opportunity to upgrade many positions this offseason via free agency in the NFL draft. Give him a little more talent, see what he can do, because I have liked what I've seen with some progress of these young players. And no doubt about it, you got to give credit to Aaron Glenn and the other coaches for the development of these young players.
Yeah,
Amen.
definitely.
That's what I've been saying all
Definitely
season.
one of the youngest teams in the league. The only player over 30 years old on the roster is Michael Brockers. And so we've obviously been talking a lot about Justin Fields. Like you said, it is the Chicago Fieldses. And you're looking at this guy. We've talked, bring the safety in the box, maybe put a spy on him. If you could pick one player off of that defense that you would want to be that spy, who are you looking at? Are you looking at Malcolm? Are you looking at Anzalone? Maybe Jeff Okudah to be that spy. Who would you look at to put on Justin Fields to make sure he doesn't escape?
Will Harris.
Will Harris.
I like that one.
Definitely not Will Harris. I'd have to probably go with Malcolm Rodriguez. I understand that he's the younger player on this team, but I trust what Alex Anzalone can do as a veteran. So put Malcolm Rodriguez with his speed out there to at least monitor what he's doing. He's a smaller guy, but he brings the heat every single time.
Yeah.
The guy can tackle. He's definitely a gamer, so put him out there for the spy. I don't want to do the safeties because Kirby Joseph, rookie, and then you got Futu Malfanu who's going to be starting. He hasn't had that much starting time. It's not Deshaun Elliott. It's not a veteran really out there. And Okudah, you're obviously going to have him on the wide receiver. So I'd probably go Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah.
My one concern is that is our guy, and we did have him on the show, and we asked him about spying on these rushing quarterbacks. He said it's not a philosophy of AG's. So
but I feel like what Mike said, like you have to against this team where they don't
Yeah.
do anything else but let Justin Fields run the ball.
he's quite literally, and I don't know if it's because of like the situation that Mike expressed earlier too. They don't really have any type of wide receivers to have fear over, but like quite literally has been the best rushing quarterback. Maybe it sounds crazy to say because it's so like early into his career, right? But he's broken Michael Vick's records. He's outpaced Lamar Jackson at this point. Like he might be the best rushing quarterback. Is it too soon to say something
It's
like that, Mike?
way too soon to say that.
I mean, by the numbers of this year, he's doing it. He's 1,000 yards rushing.
Lamar Jackson's been out,
Yeah.
but Justin Fields has done a really good job, and they have no other offense there. They don't have any weapons at wide receiver. Their offensive line is booty cheek, so he's doing it all himself. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that. Him and Lamar Jackson probably 1A, 1B rushing quarterback. But when you look at this Bears offense, it's like a high school offense. All they do is run the football. When I go watch my kid cheerlead for the high school team, I'm watching the game, all they do is run. So go ahead and get away from this. We're not going to do spying garbage because this is all they do is run. Force them to pass the football. That's how you're going to win this game.
Yeah. And I have another question, too. I guess considering what Justin Fields has kind of shown us what he can be, and he doesn't have those weapons. The Bears do continue to give him those weapons. I've been on record of saying, like, some of the weapons that the Green Bay Packers have now, like loading, I think Devontae Wyatt was like a defensive tackle we were looking at as Lions fans in last year's draft. I think you look at Quay Walker as a guy we were looking at as Lions fans. Christian Watson, obviously they still have Alexander. I feel like they have a lot of guys still yet to come, too. The future of this NFC North, I don't think at a certain point throughout the season, I was like, damn, the Lions might have this thing on rein for like the couple years to come. But after the Packers have come on to, after Justin Fields, if he gets some weapons, he might be more dangerous. What do you think the Lions' future is in the NFC North with this new regime? You think like we dominate? Is it looking that way for you, or are you still kind of nervous about everybody else?
There's always going to be nerves about the rest of the teams in the NFC North. We've never won it since it's been established, but I think the future is really bright. When you look at the young talent that we're acquiring via Brad Holmes, this guy is a master of the draft. In the past 2 drafts, he's drafted 10 players. 5 of them are started on defense. That is amazing. So it's all about the draft. And if you look at other teams like the Green Bay Packers, I'm not sure their future is too bright. They're kind of like in a quandary right now. What's going on with Karen Rodgers? Is he going to come back? He's not. Yeah, they can draft all right. when you look at the Minnesota Vikings, they've won a ton of games with just 1 point. I still think they're good. They got a good coach, got good players on that team. But if you look at the Detroit Lions, we're doing that as well. And I think the Lions going to take a major step next year towards the NFC North, and a team that you're going to have to compete with, a physical team. We're getting the most out of the players that we have. That means that the coaching staff's doing a good job. You have a coaching staff that know how to coach the young players that the GM drafts. That means the future is bright, and I do think it's bright. But is it going to be a cakewalk? It's never going to be a cakewalk. That's just the way that the NFL works, and specifically, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, it's never easy, folks.